guys, this is 희민이는 from Elena to share.
Welcome to my third video. In the last video, I talked about the properties of water. If you remember what cohesion, adhesion, high heat capacity, hydrogen bond, and properties about water's density, that's good. But if you don't, return to the last video to make sure that you understood all of them. Then today, I'll talk about carbohydrates. There are four main classes of large biological molecules, which is another name of macromolecules. They are carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. Water is also a macromolecule, but other four, carbohydrates, lipid, protein, and nucleic acid, are organic compounds, but water is inorganic compound. Organic compound is a compound in which one or more carbon atoms are covalently linked to other elements, most commonly hydrogen, oxygen, or nitrogen. We're going to talk about other three organic compounds in following videos, and today I'll focus on carbohydrates. Usually, macromolecules consist of polymers, which are made up of many monomers, like the picture on the right. So how does monomers become a polymer? It is through dehydration synthesis. This wording is very important, so it would be great if you keep this in mind. If there is a short polymer and an unlinked monomer, dehydration removes a water molecule and forms a new bond. Then what's opposite reaction? To change polymer to monomers, hydrolysis adds a water molecule and breaks a bond. This reaction is not only for carbohydrates, but also for other macromolecules. From now, let's focus on carbohydrates. It is composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen molecules in ratio of 1 to 2 to 1. The example would be C5H10O5. So it's composed of 5 carbons, 10 hydrogen atoms, and 5 oxygen atoms. The function of it is our main energy source, and the monomer, what we just talked about, of carbohydrate is monosaccharides. If two monosaccharides bond together, that is disaccharides, and if more than two are linked together, that is polysaccharides. Among them, let's take a look on the first one, monosaccharides. Monosaccharide is monomer of carbohydrate. Usually, saccharide is another name for carbohydrate. So if it is confusing, remember this. So there are three types of monosaccharides. They are glucose, fructose, and galactose. Glucose is the main fuel for cellular work. As I said, carbohydrate is composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen by ratio of 1 to 2 to 1. Glucose is composed of 6 carbons and oxygen and 12 hydrogen. There are linear ring and abbreviated ring formed to express glucose. It doesn't mean that you should remember all these structures. So I'll tell you how I recognize that it is a glucose. Usually in exams, ring form is used to express glucose. And it's kind of tricky, but if you see a hexagon with oxygen on the upper right vertex, it is glucose with very high possibility. Next, I'll talk about disaccharides. Di is a prefix meaning two, so if you remember this, it will be easier to understand and memorize other biological words, like disaccharides. Again, there are three types of them. First one is maltose, which is made up of glucose. They are all formed by dehydration synthesis, and the bond connected by it is called glycosidic linkage. Sucrose is made up of glucose and fructose, and lactose is made up of glucose and galactose. Sucrose is the disaccharide in common sugar, and lactose is that in common milk that we buy at the grocery store. Before moving on to polysaccharides, there is something that we should know. So, back to the glucose. There are two types of glucose. First is called alpha glucose, and it has OH below the plane, as you can see. And the second one is beta glucose, which has OH above the plane. The OH I'm talking about is in blue circles. It is always on the right vertex of the hexagon shape, and when they are linked. In the linkage of alpha glucose, OH is always below the plane, and in the beta glucose, it is alternating, as it is shown in the figure on the right. So as I said, you know this, so let's move on to polysaccharides. There are two types of polysaccharides, and first type function as storage molecules, and they are starch and glycogen. Starch has the simplest structure, and it is digestible. It is storage molecule of plants, and glycogen is the storage molecules of animal. They are both made up by alpha glucose. Then what does the beta glucose make? Structural compound is another type of polysaccharide. Structural compounds are all made up of beta glucose. Cellulose and chitin function as structure of compounds, and cellulose is parallel to each other joined by hydrogen bonds, and they are indigestible. However, there are always exceptions. Cows and termites have cellulose digesting prokaryotes and digestive tract, so that would be exception, and cellulose is the most abundant organic compounds on Earth, as plant cell walls are all made of it. Chitin is also indigestible. Lobster shell and exoskeleton of insects would be examples. This would be example of polysaccharides that function as starch. Does anyone feel sick or have stomachache after drinking milk? Well, I've seen many. Lactose intolerance is an impaired ability to digest lactose, a sugar found in milk, and other dairy products. Lactose is normally broken down by an enzyme called lactase, which is produced by cells in the lining of the small intestine. If someone has less lactase, he or she will be able to digest less lactose than other people. So that increases osmotic pressure in large intestine, and that causes this person to feel sick. Just for a reminder, lactase is an enzyme that breaks lactose to monosaccharides. So today, I think I covered everything you should know about carbohydrates. I'll finish my video with this. If you have any question, please leave that in comments, and thank you for watching my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if this video was helpful. And our next topic would be lipid. So I'll see you in my next video. Bye.